This is possible that we can perform the arithmetic on different data types, and we have already seen this with the example also, that here that we can perform the operation that we were adding integer and long, and we were storing the value into the long variable. And I told you that if we perform any operation, then the typecasting get applied automatic when we perform the arithmetic operation. So as I already said that the conversion occurs in the following situations: when we perform the assignment. What is mean by assignment, we'll see with the example. During the arithmetic evaluation, and when the programmer explicit request a conversion. So in all these three, two is performed automatic, and we say that is implicit conversion, that system perform the conversion, and this is called explicit conversion, that user requests to convert a particular data type or to another data type. And these 2 points already we have discussed. Now when the system performs automatic type conversion, technically we say that is widening conversion. Widening conversions means a widening conversion occurs when a value stored in a smaller space is converted to a type of larger space. There will be never a loss of information. Obvious, if you have a smaller value and you put into the larger space, then definitely you will not lose any value. So this term we say that is widening conversion, and widening conversion automatically when needed. So whenever you perform any arithmetic operation, and so in am I audible? System says that my voice is not uh, comes to you, so just tell me that, am I audible? Okay, that's why I was asking. Just wait. Now, okay. One more thing. I have already raised an complaint regarding this internet issue, because uh, uh, 2 and 3 days back there are heavy rain is going on, and there is a cloudy weather. So that's why we are facing some internet issues. So if you get any problem related to the voice, and you are not able to see my screen, then just let me know. Then I'll start from that point. So that's why I was saying. Now, so widening is performed automatically when needed. So how does the widening get performed? Let's see with the example in the next slide. We have already this one. Uh, Automatic conversions occur during the arithmetic and assignment operation. So this conversion take place when we perform the arithmetic and when we perform the assignment operation. Let's see here. If we have a byte x is equal 100, and if we want to store this byte value into integer y, so as we know that the byte has a 1 byte space, 1 byte in the size, and integer has 4 byte space. So definitely it has the larger space compared to the byte. So this will take automatic. This value will be automatic convert into int and will be stored into the y. But make sure this x that you have defined, that is byte, will always be a byte. Only the value that you have stored will be automatic promoted into the int. So the value into the x, the value that is stored into x is promoted to the int and assigned to the y. Sometime what a student gets confused that this x will be converted into the y. No, the value that is stored into the x will promote it to integer, and then it will store into the y. Similarly, we can store the y into that is long z. Y is promoted to a long and then assigned to a z. In the same way, if we have a long z, then we can store into float z. The value z is promoted to the float and assigned to a. Maybe you a question can comes into your mind that the float has the 4-byte space, but long has the 8-byte space. So how does it perform at the automatic conversion? So as we know that the float has a different range value according to mantissa and exponential part. So this will be automatic promoted. So don't be confused. Let's see with the arithmetic operation. This is done with the assignments. Now, if we have integer x is equal 50, as we can see into the slide, and a long y is equal 100, when we perform the operation of x plus y, so x is int, y is long, so now the value stored into x will be promoted to long. After that, it will add to the y and will get the result as long. So x plus y, so x promoted to long, expression evaluates to long. Now this x and y give you the result as long. Now this is going to add with z, and as we can see, the z is float. So now x plus y promoted to the float, and after that it will be add to z and will get the result as float. And as we know that the float can be stored into the double, so automatic this whole value will be promoted to the double and will assign to a. So all these things will be take care by your system, and this is called automatic conversion, and in technical term we say this is widening. So widening takes place automatic system perform this operation for us, so we are not uh, bother about it that which type of the value is going to be promoted. And but one thing that you have to remember, whenever you evaluate the value, make sure that you are assigning into the correct data type. Why I'm saying this, just look at the next slide. One more term that is called narrowing conversion, just opposite of the widening. A narrowing conversion occurs when a value stored in a larger space is converted to a type of a smaller space. So in this case, it may be possible that we can lose the information, and this will not take automatically. User or the programmer must have the explicit request to the program that perform this operation. So how do we do this narrowing? And technically, and one more term we say in narrowing is typecasting. That is the casting. So casting is what a programmer does to explicit convert a value from one type to another type. And the same definition you can find over here, that is narrowing. So in other words, we can say that is the casting. The casting means the general syntax for the cast is the result type that you want and the value that you want to convert. For example, we have a float value that is price 37.53 and wants to store, okay, and for example, we want to store into the int type of value, then this float cannot be converted automatic. We have to request to the system to convert this price value into int by writing the result type. So by writing result type into the variable. So the fractional value that is after 0.53 will be lost and we'll get only the answer 37. So that's why one point is mentioned here. Information may be lost. Information may be lost means the value that we have is 37.53, but when we are casting it, then we'll get the answer only 37, and 0.53 is lost. Char response is A, and we want to store into the byte, then we'll convert into the byte by this writing. And the A, as we know that it has the ASCII value 65, so 65 will be stored into the temp. So this is the typecasting, and in case of typecasting, value may be lost. So one more example I want to show, and maybe you all are aware about it, but yes. Okay, I told you that there are two part in the float. That is, one is mantissa and second one is the exponential. And then you have to go and search, means you have to read about what is the pattern of the float is designed to store the value. So in that case, this gets converted. When I was discussing this point, and then I told you that this happens, but maybe a question comes into your mind that long is 64-bit, but it gets converted. So this is the mechanism of the storage. That's why. And if you do the Google, then you can find a link that is, you will go onto Wikipedia. There is some explanation. So still, if you are not able to get the answer, then let me know. I will explain the things. Okay. So first, just do by yourself, then I'll explain. Now, one more thing. Now tell me, what will be the value of this? If I store the value that is 125 and I will print the value of B, then what will be the output of this program? Very simple program. One class that has been defined with the my class, and we have a method main and a variable B is equal 125. So I just want to print this B's value. So just tell me, simple, what will be the output of this program? Yes, tell me. Just write down in your chat box that what will be the output according to you. Are you getting my question? If I execute this program, what will be the output of this program? Good. Good. And one more input I want from Hinduja, that is, what will be the output? Till then, I'm going to compile and execute Java C and my class.java. Good. And Java and my class. So let me execute it. Okay, fine. So 125 is fine. Now tell me, what will be the output of this one? Very quickly. Good. 127, agreed. So we are getting 127. One more time. I have changed the value. Just tell me what will be the answer. If you are executing this program, then don't do this. Just tell me the answer without executing this program. Good. Max 127, Hinduja. Your answer is good. Justin says error. Okay. And what about Meng? Meng says 128. So I'm going to tell you one thing uh, about this value. Just first I'll execute it, then I'll tell you. So that is the maximum value that can be stored into byte, that is minus 128 to positive value including 0, 127. So if I want to store the value as 128, then we'll get error because 128 cannot be stored into the byte. So Justin, your answer is perfect. Hinduja, max 127, so the answer should be error. I hope Meng, this point is clear now. 128 will raise error because you are trying to store the value that is beyond the limit of this byte storage. So what we have to do, we will convert this value into byte. This is called typecasting. Now tell me what will be the answer. So one thing is clear that we can store the maximum and minimum of the data types range value. And if we want to store them beyond the range, then we have to convert into that type by casting. So now I have changed the value according to typecasting, that is byte. Now what will be the output? So Justin says 128. Okay, fine. 128. Ming is also saying 128. And what about Hinduja? Just tell me very quickly so we can move further. 128, 128, and 128. So just come to the execution part and compile. So there is no error. Fine. And if I store the value, then that is minus 128. Okay, fine. So why this is minus 128? So I will explain this with a graph, with a diagram, so this will make clear to everyone. One more time, I just need to change this value from 128 to 129, and every output, just remember, then you will understand this output. So let me compile. Yes, your question is perfect, Hinduja, good question. So we'll get minus 127. Are you getting? So now I will explain with one graph, one image. So I'll open Paint to design it, to draw it. So for example, this represents your byte value. And as we know, there are two parts. One is called positive and another one is called negative. And if I denote this portion as positive. This is the positive, and this portion as negative. Okay. So obvious, the value starts from the 0. So at the top, this will be 0. And after that, this will move to at this line, and it will reach at maximum 127. That will be the positive range, 127. After that, this will be go into negative direction. So this will be like minus 128. Okay. And after that, this will be minus 127 and so on. And then it will reach at 0. I hope this picture is clear. This picture is clear. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maximum 127 positive that can be stored into the byte as a positive. After that, it will move into the negative part, minus 128, minus 127, then it will go minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, and then 0. So this will be representation of your byte if we represent or show with the diagram. Now, what happened when we store the value? Let's see. We want to store my 129. So what we'll do is, it will move from here to this point and it will come to the 127. Now I want to store 129, so it will move 2 steps further. So when it will move 2 steps further, then it will reach at this location, that is minus 127. So that's why it will store minus 127, because the byte value cannot be go beyond this range. It will move around this circle. So when we store this value, then we get minus 127. Similarly, if we store 255, let's see, and if we execute this, then see what is that is minus 1. So it will move step by step from here, and when it will count 255 as positive, then it will move to minus 127. And if we add 128 plus 127, that is 255, that is minus 1, 0 to minus 1. So this is how the circle works. So for every integer value, this circle will work. Either that is byte, long, int, short. So when we will store these type of the value in the typecasting, maybe we can lose the information. As you can see here, if we want to store 128, that is positive, but it is not storing 128, it gets the value as minus 128. Fine. So 129 is Justin. Okay, Ming, you are not able to hear Justin and Hinduja. Can you hear me? Okay, fine. So remember only typecasting, and when you perform any typecasting, make sure that you are not lose any information. So before typecasting and when you perform, make sure that you have execute your code to check that whether we are getting the right output or not. Now come to this part. Increment, decrement, we have already seen this one. Okay. Blocks, it is also important. Blocks can be of any Means when you write pair of the curly braces, this is called the block. And block could be of your class, block could be of your loops, methods, conditional statements. So whenever you start the curly bracket and close the curly bracket, that is called blocks. And why I'm saying this, because blocks also makes some restriction for the variables. So just understand this, only the block. Block means that is if conditional statement, and after that we write open curly bracket and the close curly bracket. And here we can see that else also having open and close curly braces. So this is called the block. And if we define, okay, if we define any variable inside a block, for example, that you can see, block helps to define the scope. So generally speaking, variables defined within a block are only known within that block. So that variable will become local to that block. As we have already seen, if we define a variable inside a method, so that variable cannot access outside of the method. So that defines um the scope of that variable. In the same way, if you define a variable inside any if block, then that variable will not accessible outside of the if. So I'll write only a small piece of code to make. For example, if I write, for example, true, and this makes a block, and int a is equal 20, that is inside the if. Now if I write system dot out dot println and a, so I want to access this a outside of this block. So this will raise error that a is not available. We cannot find symbol a. So this also defines the scope, this one. Fine. So make sure then when you are using any block and you are declaring any variable inside that block, so don't write that like that code that you are accessing that variable outside of this that block. So that's why I have this slide in, added this slide into presentation. Now this operators we have already seen. Yes, Meng, you were asking that can we overload any operator? So plus operator is already overloaded, as we know that we can add two values by using plus operator. In the same way, we can concat the strings with the plus operator. Okay, so it has more than one functionality. So we can say that plus is overloaded, but you cannot overload, it is already available. And plus, if any expression begins with the string, then all the operands that follow must be a string. This point you have to remember. Now string s1 is equal 1000 plus, and we want to concat this string, then we will write plus. So we'll get the output as 1000 grams to a kilogram. S is equal jeepers. So S is initialized as jeepers. And if we add like S plus S, and we have already seen this shortcut, so this will be jeepers hyphen. And if we add S plus creepers, so now S has become jeepers, so now it will be jeepers and creepers. So this is the way that you can concat the string. So a string operator, that is the plus, that is used to concat the string. Logical operator, we have already seen. Relational, already. Short circuit, already discussed. Okay. One more operator is available in Java, that is called instance of operator. So make a note that what is instance of operator. You will write all in small. Instance of this one. The use of instance of is, as we know, the definition of the object is instance of a class. Okay, so if you want to check that an object is of a particular class type or any particular interface type, then we use the instance of operator. And suppose you want to write some code like, if this object is type of particular class, or this object is instance of that particular interface type, then this code should be executed. There we can use instance of operator. Okay, so determine if an object is of a particular class or implements a specific interface. For checking some object is an instance of a specific class, we use the instance of operator. So we write variable name, then instance of type. For example, point1 is instance of circle. So if this point1 is a type of circle, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So let's see with the help of the example. Just understand this abstract we'll discuss today. What is abstract? So there is a class that is fish, having a method that is display, and one other class that is fresh water fish, extend fish. It means, as I told you in inheritance, if any class extends another class, then that class will be type of superclass type. So we can say freshwater fish is a type of fish, because inheritance establishes is a relationship. We have already discussed this one. So another one is class that is saltwater fish extends fish. So we can say the saltwater fish is also a type of fish. Again, class trot extends the freshwater fish, that this one. And now explain the display method like this. So I hope this definition is clear to all of you. At the implementation of the displays here. And another class that is the flounder extends the salt water fish. And here the display method is defined. So just tell me that this definition that the left hand side is mentioned is clear. Just forget about the abstract. I will explain that what is abstract. Just tell me that this definition is clear. Fine. So now here is another class that is tuna extends saltwater fish, that is display. One more class is created. Now this is our code that will execute instance of class. You can write anything, but this is written to understand that this is one class, and one uh, constant is defined with the numfish, that is 4. And okay, array is also. So do you know the syntax to create array in Java? I'm asking because you are already uh, learning the basics of the Java, so that's why. If no, then I can type another example. Just tell me. Do you know how to create array of objects? Meng? Yes, array. And what about yes, Meng? Okay, fine. So Justin, what about you? Okay, fine. So then I can explain this code. So as we can see, one array is defined fish, and the value that is 4 is passed over here. So it will create 4 references, that is fish is 0, 2, n minus 1, that is 3. Now I'm assigning fish is 0 to an object of trot, that you can see here. And remember this, this is this is the parent's reference, and we have already seen that what is upcasting. If we store the object of the child class into the parent's reference, that is called upcasting, that is dynamic polymorphism. So obviously we can store the new trot object into the fish reference, because fish is the superclass of every class. So fishes 1 is equal to new flounder, it is also fine. Fishes 2 is equal to new tuna, that we can see here. Okay, and fishes 3 is equal to new trot one more time, that is this object. Now if we want check that fish is equal to fish and fish I is equal to 0. If fish is instance of saltwater fish, then display the fish display. So which one is the saltwater fish type? So as we can see here, the flounder and tuna is the type of saltwater fish. So in that case, only the flounder and the tuna, that is 1 and 2, will be give you the answer true, and rest will be give you the answer false, because we want to check that this object, this reference, is a type of saltwater fish or not. So instance of operator will tell you that the particular instance is a type of the given class type or interface type, and according to that you can take the decision that which code should be executed. And this instance of operator I will explain one more time after explanation of abstract classes and interface with the example also. Since here array is created and the loop is going to execute, so maybe this makes a code messy, but I will explain with the example when I'll cover the concepts of the abstract classes and interface. So this is how we check the interface, that the particular type or not, class the type or not, then we will execute the code. So as you can see that only two code is executed, that is flounder and tuna. As I told you that this will be only execute since trout is not a type of saltwater fish, it is the type of freshwater fish. But every object has the same method, that is display. Okay, fine. Okay, now this is only one slide. I'm not going to explain in detail, that is what is if else statement, and what is switch, and what is while, do while, and for in Java. I just want to know that you all know the syntaxes of conditional statements: if, else if, nested if, ladder of the if. Fine, good. And you all know that how to use switch. This is also one kind of conditional statement. Okay, fine. And as there are four loops in Java. Three is same. Three are same as we use in C and C++. Those are like while, do while, and for. One more loop is available in Java that is called for each loop. For each is actually the extended form of the for loop. So generally we say that there are four. One is while, second one is do while, third one is for, and fourth one is for each loop. For each loop, how do we use it? I will explain when we'll cover the topic array. Syntaxes is clear. Syntax for everything, for every statement is clear to all of you, so I'm not going to explain this one. Only one thing I just want to mention before uh, closing it. Okay. The difference between the syntax that we use in C and C++ and the syntax that we use in Java is uh, in Java, everything that you mention into the if and the condition must be give you the result as Boolean. Means uh, what what does it mean? What do I mean to say is where is this one? This is I'm just writing this one. Syntax of if. The if, and we know that it is the expression we write. Okay, and after that this one. Okay, so this is actually the syntax of if. This expression that you write over here, okay, that you write over here must give you the result in the form of true or false. It should not give you the result in the form of any other thing. This is the syntax that we use in Java. But you know, the syntax that we use in C is, in place of the expression, it is something like that is called statements. Statements, statement or expression. You can write anything over here. So this is the difference. This is the syntax of C that we use in C programming, and here is the Java's syntax. Clear? Okay. So to explain this, Meng, I need to write one small piece of code. For example, printf, if I write, and if I write hello. So this is expression or this is a statement? Just tell me. This one. This is expression or this is a statement? This is a statement. Okay, fine. In C programming, you can write this statement into the if. This is 100% correct statement. You can write this one. But in Java, if you want to write like system.out.println and you are going to print something over here, so it will not true. So anything that you mention in this, that must give you the result as Boolean. Okay. So Boolean means true or false. You can write any method over here in Java, but that method's return type must be Boolean. And since in C, any negative and any positive value treated as positive, as a true, and 0 is as false. So we can also write like this one. Just look at here. So this is 100% correct statement in C, but it will not work in Java. Why? Because 2 plus 3 gives you the result as 5. So if we talk in terms of the C programming and C++, this is true. But if we talk in terms of the Java, this is 5, and we cannot replace true and false with any positive and negative value into the Java. So that's why I am telling you that here you will write any expression. So the complete syntax is, that is the Boolean expression or Boolean statement, and whatever you write over here, if that expression, that statements give you the Boolean result, it will be acceptable in Java. Got it? Okay. So now, so this is only one thing I just want to mention over here. Sorry. Now come to the slide. Yes. Now come to the fresh topic, that is abstract class. So what is abstract class and how do we define that? It is very simple. First of all, abstract class is very simple, and only the thing is that is important to understand about the abstract class is, when should we use this concept? Okay. So look at here. A superclass that only defines a generalized form that will be shared by all its subclasses. Okay, one more time. A superclass that only defines a generalized form that will be shared by all its subclasses, leaving the implementation details to its subclass, is set to an abstract class. Means the superclass will not implement that generalized form. The responsibility of implementation, the responsibility to implement that generalized form is of subclasses, then that class is said to be abstract class. A concrete class. What is mean by concrete class? Concrete class is a type of class that can be instantiated. Just note this point. We use a term that is called concrete class. Concrete class means a class that can be instantiated, that can have object. Okay, that we can create the object. So a concrete class has concrete methods, means the complete methods, including implementations of any abstract method. Abstract methods means incomplete methods that comes from the parent to the child, inherited from its superclass. And any class with abstract method should be declared abstract. So when we defining any class like this, here class demo, and if we define a generalized form of the method that every child will display the information by using the display method, no other method will be used. So demo will be define the generalized form of the display, and what will be displayed, it will be decided by the child. So what will we do? We will only define the signature of this method, and rest of the implementation we leave on the subclass. So in that case, suppose we are not implementing this method into this class, so Java says in that case make this class method as abstract. There is a keyword, so it will tell to the compiler that this method is a type of abstract and it is not defined over here. And a very simple statement about abstract class: if any class having I'll type it, then it will make more clear. If any class having one or more abstract method, if any class having one or more abstract method, I will write into the bracket that is direct or indirect. Direct or indirect. What is mean by indirect? I will tell you. If any class having one or more abstract method, direct or indirect, then that class must be declared as abstract. So according to this definition that I have created, since this class demo having one abstract method that is display, so in that case we have to make this class as abstract. So now till here, is it clear to everyone? Good, good. So now if any class extends this demo, means inherit this class, so by using this one, then the responsibility of this class is to define the display according to its requirement, that how this class wants to display its information. Okay, so it will define by writing the definition of this method, and system.out.println I will show in table. So I'm writing only a statement that it will show the information in the tabular form, so it will show the information in the table. And if we see this code, then we'll find actually we are performing method overriding, isn't it? That we have already learned, that if any method redefined, if we define the method that comes from the parent having the same signature into the child, then that term is called method overriding. So actually we are performing method overriding, isn't it? Okay, so make sure when you define the parent's method into the child, you are following all the rules of method overriding. Okay, so when you will perform this overriding rules and define the method that comes from the parent, so this will not give you any error. Similarly, we can create another class like test I'm going to create that extends demo, this one, So definitely this test will also have the method that is display. So the responsibility of this test class is to define this display method, this one. Now this test says I will show the detail of my class in the form of grid. So test says that no, I will display the information in the grid form. My class says I will show my information in the form of the table. But the generalized form of the method comes from the parent. So this is the use of abstract class. If you want that the generalized form shared to the child and implementation should be given by the child class, then we make abstract classes, abstract methods. Is it clear that how to define and how to write it? Fine. Sometimes students ask that, can we have a method, can we have a such method in an abstract class that is not abstract? Means can abstract class having non-abstract method? This type of the question every time a student asks. So yes, an abstract class can have non-abstract methods also. So for example, if I write void and show, and if we want that this should not be abstract, this is going to be complete, then we can define this method over here according to requirement. So we can write hello from demo, this one. We can write this. So it means this statement is correct. If any class having one or more abstract method, then it is compulsory to make that method, that class as abstract. And the abstract class can also have non-abstract methods. Fine. If any class extends the abstract class, then the responsibility of that class will be to define all the abstract methods. As you can see over here, it is compulsory. And show can also be redefined if required. So this is the abstract class. One more point I want to mention. Abstract class cannot be instantiated. So we cannot create object of, but can have references. References. This one. So what is mean by this? Just look at here. If we write the statement that is demo object, if we want to create, then this will show error. Let's see with the compilation. So demo is abstract, cannot be instantiated. This is all about. So abstract class cannot be instantiated, but we can create the reference of the abstract class. So let's see what is mean by this. So this one. So there is no error. Fine. And one more thing we know about that, we can store the object of any child class into the parent reference. So just tell me, this statement is correct or not? We have already seen this in dynamic polymorphism, or we can say upcasting. So we can write this statement. Okay. So in the similarly, we can write like demo ob1 is equal new, and one more class we have, that is my class. This is also correct, and this statement is also correct. That is my class ob2 is equal new my class. So all the statements are correct. So this makes very efficient use in the coding. So I hope this all statements are clear right now. Okay. One more method I'm going to define, void x, like this. Now tell me, is it correct right now? Good, man. So this statement, if we'll compile this code, then we'll get error. Why? Because I have already mentioned into the definition, that is, if any class having one or more abstract method, direct or indirect. So what is mean by indirect? As you can see here, this class, that is demo, having two abstract method, that is direct inside. But as you can see, test extends demo, so this test will have two abstract method that is coming from the demo. So indirectly, we can say that test has two abstract method, that is display and x. And the definition says, if any class having direct or indirect, one or more abstract method, then that class must be declared as abstract. So in this case, we'll get error about the test, we'll get about error about the my class, because these classes are not defining x. So you have to do two things: either make this class as abstract or define the method x. Similarly, make this class as abstract or define the method x into my class. Okay. Some more points. First point, an abstract class cannot have objects because it is not complete, but it can have references, as I have already mentioned into the code. Static methods and constructors cannot be declared abstract. And the thing you are writing, if you are making notes, then make it as with asterisk symbol, make a star over there. This is a point that you have to remember, that static method and constructor you will not declare as abstract. Now the question comes in here, that why we cannot declare constructor and static method as abstract. So the straightforward answer is, in inheritance we have already seen this, and as we know, with the method overriding, that static method cannot be override, and second one is the constructor cannot be inherited. And in the term of abstract, it is the responsibility of the child to define the method that is declared inside the parent class. So static and constructor, that's why cannot be declared as abstract. Any subclass of an abstract class must either implement all the abstract methods in the superclass or be itself declared as abstract. So as I told you earlier, this statement. A concrete method can be overridden to become the abstract. So what is mean by this one? I'll explain with the example. And one more thing, it is illegal to declare class both final and abstract. So this is not possible. If you declared a class as abstract, so you cannot define as final. So it is illegal. It will raise an error. Come to this point, a concrete method can be override to become abstract. So what is mean by this? Come to this code and see here. I'll delete this X. Now, tell me, this show is abstract or complete? So the answer, your answer will be, this is complete method. Yes, fine, this is complete method. Now, when we are extending this class demo, this show will be also available in this test class. So in child, what we can do is, when we override this method like this, we can make this method as abstract also. So according to our requirement, that this definition will work on this part, but after that, if any class extends a test, then that class must implement the show that comes from the parent and going through the test. So in this case, you need to make this class as abstract. So this is all about that statement, that and a concrete method can be overridden to become abstract. Yes, you can make it, so you can define it. So this is not that we cannot change, and we cannot make any method that comes from the parent as concrete to abstract. So this is all about the abstract method concept. This is called abstract method. Yes, tell me, is there any doubt related to the abstract method? Because this is very important. Any doubt? Good. And as I have made this class as abstract, so this statement will raise error. I'll delete it. Okay. Now come to another part of, or you can say the extended form of this. If we talk about in terms of the abstract, then we can have abstract methods as well as non-abstract methods. Fine, we can have. And we can have one or more abstract method and one or more non-abstract methods. We can do one more thing, that we can declare every method as abstract. So in that case, when any class will extend this class, then that class must implement all the abstract methods. But this is not a restriction over here, that you cannot define any non-abstract method into abstract class. So Java provides another thing that is called interface. So in interface, we cannot define any method. We cannot define. And in interface, every method will be abstract till Java 7. In Java 8, it has been changed. Some new concept has been introduced. So I'm telling you till Java 7. So you can define any interface by writing the interface in place of the class, first thing. And in interface, all the methods are by default public. All the methods are by default public and abstract. All the methods are by default public and abstract. If you write, then it is fine. If you don't write, then it will be public abstract, because it is default nature of the method's signature, and we cannot change it to make as private, we cannot make it as protected, and we cannot make it as default, because the default nature of the method's signature in interface is by default public and abstract. So if you write, then it will make more readable of your code. If you don't write, then by default it is public and abstract, and we cannot change it. This is the interface. So I have mentioned this one, so this is fine. If I'm not mentioning, then by default public abstract is available. An interface is not extended into the class. We implement the interface by using implements keyword. It is a kind of also inheritance, but we don't perform the extend. We perform the implements over here. So in that case, what will happen? These two methods will be available into this class test as abstract, and you have to override these methods. And as I told you, when we override any method that comes from the parent to the child, we have to follow the method overriding rule. And method overriding rule says if any method is public in the parent, so you have to make that method as public into the child, this one. And we will write this method as public void show, this one. You will have to define. Just tell me, till now the interface is clear? To define interface, we write interface name, and we cannot define any method into the interface with the body. In interface, all the methods will be by default public and abstract, and we cannot change the nature of it. These two points are clear? Fine, good. Similarly, interface cannot be instantiated, obvious, because it has all the methods and abstract, but interface can have references. So this statement is correct. Let's see with the compilation if we'll get any error. Then okay, my class cannot, I have changed. Okay, which class? Test. I will write like this to make clear thing. Yes, this one. So yes, we can have the references of the interface, but we cannot create the object. Few points that you have to remember, and these points are uh, Okay, tell me what you all are doing right now, means in which course you are, uh, what are you doing in your academics? Are you in enter school, or you are in doing BE? Because here we say that engineering graduates that do BE, BTech, bachelors in engineering, masters in engineering. So what you all are doing? Okay, good. Masters in which field, Meng? Very good. Okay, masters in CS. Okay, and Justin, you have completed masters in CS. Okay, good, good, good. So Hinduja, you have done MCA. From where you have completed your MCA? Which college and university? Seatons. Which city? JNTU. Okay. Okay, fine, fine. And Justin, from where you have done your masters and Meng, and from where you belong? If you want, then tell me that. Otherwise, yes, Boston. Okay, good. And Meng, New York, fine. And this is the beauty of training. Um, a trainer can interact with students across all over the world corner. So that's why I was asking. I have trained more than 10,000 students from the past 7 to 8 years. So that's why I am asking. So just to know about your uh, qualification and your cities. So, okay, come to this interface. These few points that you have to remember when you declare the interface and when you are writing any definition. So first point, variables declared in the interface are implicitly public, static, and final. Implicitly means you don't need to define it. If you write public static final, then it is fine. If you don't write, then it is also fine. So if we define any variable inside here, so if I write integer a is equal 20, so this syntax is correct, but this is equal to, this is similar to public static final int a is equal 20. This is similar to this syntax. So if you write public static final, then it is fine. If you don't write, then by default it is available, and you cannot change its type, and you cannot define any non-static variable into the interface. This is the default nature of the interface. Okay. Methods declared in the interfaces are implicitly public and abstract, as I told you. Uh, you cannot change it. Following modifiers cannot be applied to the methods declared in an interface, that is private, protected, static, final, and synchronized. So these modifiers you cannot apply to the methods that you declare into the interface. Variables declared in an interface cannot be private or protected because it is by default public and static and final. An interface can extend one or more interfaces. So what is mean by this statement? We'll see with the example. So I'm going to just make this one. Now, if you have defined another interface like X, okay, so this interface can acquire the feature of demo. So how do we do that? This one will perform the operation extends demo. So remember this point. If we have the same type to perform the inheritance, then we use the extends. For example, class will extend the class. Interface will extend the interface, like this. So one interface can extend another interface. And as we know that one class cannot extend more than one class, but one interface can extend more than one interface. So what is mean by this? Interface, if I have defined A, for example, and we have written some methods and the variables inside it. So one interface can extend one or more interfaces like this. Are you getting the syntaxes? Fine. So this is all about this line. An interface can extend one or more interface, and a class can implements one or more interface. So we can write like this. One interface, that is demo, is implement. If you want that A should also be implemented into the test, you can write like this. So one or more interface can be implemented into one class. So what will happen then when you will perform this operation? All the method that is declared inside A and all the methods which are declared inside demo will be available to implement into the test class. Okay. Got it? Now, one more thing, and then this is the last. Suppose you have one more class. Just look at the whole definition because the code is extending right now. So this code will be a little bit uh, uh, bigger with respect to the previous codes. So if we have a class that is test1, this is the class. Now tell me which are the interfaces. So these are interfaces, demo, A and X. These are interface. Which one is class? Test1 is class and test is a class. So now I want to use the feature of test1 into the test, as well as I want to use the feature of demo and the feature of A into the test. Are you getting my question? What do I want to perform the operation? I want to perform the operation as I want to use the feature of test1 into the test. I want to use the feature of demo into the test. I want to use the feature of the A into the test. So what will I do? I will extend the test one, right? Because test one is class. I will implement the demo into test because demo is interface. So the question is, in which order we should write if we have to extend the class as well as we want to implement the interface. So the order will be, first you will extend the class, after that you will implement the interface. Got it? Suppose in a situation in which you want to extend some class as well as you want to implement some interface into a class. So what will you do? And in which order you will write it? So first of all, you will extend the class. After that, you will implement the interface. If you change the order, then you will get the error. Clear? Good. So this is all about the interface and this is all about your abstract class. So I hope today's session is also clear. If you have any doubt, any query, then you can ask me. And otherwise, I'll upload this to and then I will share the link and you can go through this video. After that, if you get any confusion, if you get any doubt, then you can ask me in the tomorrow's session. So before binding up, just tell me that is there any query, any question related to today's session? And I have already shared the training calendar. Did you get, Meng? Okay. So any query or should I bind up? Okay, good. So thank you for today's session. Tomorrow we'll meet at 8:30 IST. Bye-bye. Welcome, Hinduja.